Hi guys, it's Ryu again. Right now I actually have Laughing Man's deck in front of me. I don't know the combos too well with this. I've only played against it. I haven't played it that often. So give me a little bit of a break if I miss something for you expert scrap players there. He hopefully will comment on this page or just grab the YouTube account and respond to any of your questions. But he really knows it better. I've just played against it, especially this version. I was better off when it was more scrap-oriented in terms of, 3 Goblin, 2 Golem. But this version seems to be running a lot better for him. He's actually, been doing a lot better with it when it came to the locals and stuff that we play at. So, from what I know, 1 Cyber Dragon just for the 2100 push. He's got 1 to 2 more in the side deck, but that's always subject to change based on the new deck. The Samurais. This is always good to be able to have your main deck Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon just in case you run into a Machina Gadget or just any random machine player. If you're desperate, he works right alongside the Card Trooper, who I'm actually going to talk about next. Your 400, who pumps up anywhere from staying at 400 to 1900, lets you draw a card. He lets you mill. So really the deck's a reverse toolbox, especially when it comes to the Chimeras. You don't really want to draw the Goblin unless you're, up against a wall. And Beast is so-so. He's a decent beater, but he's also bottomless bait, unfortunately. But what good beater really isn't bottomless bait anymore? So the Scrap Goblin, he's not able to be destroyed by battle while he's face down, if I'm not mistaken, and he lives for the turn when you attack him face up. Same drill as pretty much all the scraps except for Chimera and Golem. He'll pop and let you special summon or add a scrap monster. Yeah, it's add a scrap monster to your hand. Excuse me. They'd be ridiculous to let you special summon. He's only running 2 spies right now. I've never really seen him have a dead play with it. It gives him the access to Dark End Dragon or fodder for the scrap golem. A synchro summon out of that's not into a scrap monster like Stardust, for example, works pretty decently. Scrap Golem for an Arcanite Magician, that's always been a fairly surprising play. Actually works really well, or so I've seen. You got the 3 Scrap Beasts, as I mentioned before, the same ability as Goblin has when it comes to dying, 1600 beater. Your Scrap Chimera, which makes for a very easy Scrap Dragon, a very easy Scrap Arcfiend if necessary. 1700, kind of like your Debris Dragon, except only for scraps. It doesn't really hurt if I'm not mistaken, it's a scrap monster. Yeah, just a scrap monster. So, well, no, just with scrap tuner. Jeez. So, it doesn't work that bad. It can only be used for the synchro summon of a scrap monster, but since the deck packs 3 Scrap Dragons and is going to be synchroing into that fairly often, always good. 1 Scrap Golem, 2's become really inconsistent lately. It lets you special summon your Goblin, your Beast if you're really desperate, a Chimera if I'm not mistaken. But Golem and Beast make for Scrap Twin. Golem and Goblin make for Scrap Dragon, both of which are very good. Scrap Twin is my favorite amongst the 2, but no, he's not. Scrap Dragon is. I run him in the Dragons myself. Morphing Jar lets you discard your hand and your opponent's to draw 5 cards. He's also fairly decent Scrap Dragon bait once he's been flipped face up. Summoner Monk allows for a very easy Dark End Dragon play or pretty much any any level 8 synchro you want for pitching dead cards, dead spells. Speaking of which, that's what I'm going to be addressing next. Got your standard 3 Book of Moon, 1 Cold Wave, Dark Hole, Giant Trunade, Monster Born, Mind Control. He runs 2 MST. He also runs 2 Duality, which have been working very well in the deck. 3 Scrap Storm, and 2 Scrap Yard. I've mostly seen him pitch Scrap Yards for Summoner Monk. He typically is able to recruit as often as he needs to into whatever he needs to. Definitely help with Pod Duality. If he even needs a special summon, he could pitch the Pod Duality to be able to bring out any of his level 4s that he needs. Book of Moons is standard. All the the staple cards right here are standard. Mind Control, lots of fun with the Scrap Goblin or the Scrap Beast. Allows you to make synchro summons at your opponent's expense. Mystical Space Typhoon is a spell with trap removal. Scrap Storm is a very interesting card. He uses it in response typically to cards or at the end phase. That way he can set up for his own plays. You mill a scrap card from your deck to the graveyard, draw a card, then pop a scrap card. So you're able to, send Scrap Chimera to the graveyard, draw a card, then pop your Scrap Beast, Scrap Chimera if you absolutely have to, Scrap Goblin, Scrap Golem. And typically, if it's Scrap Beast or Scrap Golem, Goblin, you're able to bring back the Scrap Chimera. So everything's fairly simple. The Scrapyard lets him recruit any of his tuners. So by all means, if you have any critiques, post them in the comments below. If you just want to say it's a nice deck, or if you think it sucks, whatever have you, let us know. We prefer not to hear it sucks since it's been doing pretty well. But hey, some people think differently than we do. Very small trap count, double bomb of sort of standard torrential, solemn warning, solemn judgment, mirror force. Call the Haunted, he's really liked. It allows for more synchro fodder, is a decent scrap dragon target if the monsters have been synchro summoned. And, reviving your monster for free, essentially, is pretty much never bad. Onto the extra deck. He's got 3 scrap dragons. This is the bread and butter of the deck, really. You are able to pop any card on the field at the expense of one of your own. Any card on your opponent's side of the field. And he lets him special summon a scrap monster when he dies. And that never hurts, especially with how often he does get killed, because people like to target him a lot to try and get around the Scrap Dragon plays. Works very well with the Scrap Beast, Call the Haunted, any of your recruiters. The Scrap Twin Dragon, you pop a scrap card. Yep, scrap monster on your side of the field. And, no, a card, excuse me. Pop a card and you bounce 2 on your opponent's side. It could be a scrap card, it could be a bluff that, you were using, anything like that. Dark End Dragon, he's got the Summoner Monks and the Gravekeeper Spies, works very well with the Beast. Arcanite Magician, once again, Summoners and Spies, quick access to that with Goblin. He has to run the Arc Fiend because it just is a decent 7-star that he's able to go into with Scrap Chimera, and it just makes things very easy. The rest of the extra deck is fairly standard. Catastor, Android, Colossal, 1 Stardust, he doesn't go into that often. Black Rose, Brionic, Goyo Guardian. So all that's fairly standard, and aside from that, that's really about it. And with the Scrap Dragons and Scrap Twin, last deck will be my personal favorite and the one that I run. I will be going into great length about that, I'm sure. So I will see you guys for that one.